Hello, everybody. Welcome to Anime Sickos, the podcast for geniuses, where we talk about the four pillars of modern misery, anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. I am Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
We want to welcome you, as always, to our lovely show. Joe, I actually have some reader mail. This, I think, is our first time.
Cool. Who's it from?
It's from at the ass eater.
Okay.
Don't look.
Okay.
This person is really, really real. Don't look them up, but they're real, and that you can hear me picking up paper.
Because it was real mail, real physical mail, which they put their Twitter handle on.
Yeah, so you know that I'm not goofing when I say this. Okay, so here's the letter from Daasida. It says, "Hey sickos, as you know, all podcasts have to have three guys, one of whom sucks and isn't funny, and everyone hates.
Correct.
You, however, somehow seem to have avoided this. You only have two hosts, both of whom are funny, and you don't hate each other. How did you avoid this fate?"
Well, we didn't. There was a third guy.
Yeah, no, we fucking hated that third guy. He sucked so fucking bad.
He was really bad.
Yeah, no, we met him at in the parking lot of a Chuck E. Cheese's. We were just sort of passing through on our way to somewhere else. He, I think, lived there.
Yeah. He was really loud. He always tried to be the funniest guy in the room.
He didn't really ever have anything good to say. Like, he was like a really mean-spirited guy, and like would always yell like slurs and would be very mean to us.
Right. Also, his like sense of what's funny was trapped in like 2009 Reddit memes.
Yeah, he kept saying like "le me," like "le me" when something happens, and like he would often say that he was like eating an epic steak like a sir.
Yeah. This guy sucked. So obviously we started a podcast with him.
Yeah, this was the obvious move, honestly. Like, even in retrospect, I think it was the right move. You find two funny guys and then one guy who isn't funny that you hate. You start a podcast. This guy was named Brian Stephen A. Lee Stevenson. You said the full thing every time.
Yep, you had to.
Yeah, he would get really fucking pissed at you if you didn't. And he sucked so bad. And he really made the show quite unfunny and
right.
like a weirdly hostile experience listening to it.
Yeah, and it's good that we kind of started the podcast after we got rid of him. We got those test episodes out of the way. I don't know if you've ever kicked someone off of a podcast. It's actually very uncomfortable. It's very hard to do.
It's like breaking up with someone and also firing them at the same time. But you also don't pay them.
Right. So we didn't. What we did is we found a magic book that was made out of human skin, and it taught us a spell. And then what we did is we banished his soul and we shoved it in a Wii U.
Yeah, people talk a lot of shit about the Wii U, and I don't think that's fair because, I mean, I think what's the mismatch here is that people are judging it as a gaming console, whereas I am judging it as a sort of prison dimension for demons. When you judge it as that, it like really fucking whips. It's like actually perfect for that. Actually, if you look at the Wii U box, I think it says that's what it's for. The gaming,
the dimensions are perfect.
Yeah, the gaming part is, I think, just like a mini game if like you get tired in the middle of casting the spell.
Yeah, so he's stuck in there. We're never going to let him out, and every day we have to draw a sigil on it. Otherwise, he comes back to the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, it really has been a huge boon not having him been here. I mean, those test episodes are on Patreon only, so like we're never going to release them publicly, so you only get the good shit. Wait, hold up, though. You said every day?
Yeah, you got to draw the sigil every day.
Is today your day?
No, I dropped it off with you yesterday.
Oh, shit. Well, we're recording now, so I don't want to break the fucking flow. I'm sure it'll be fine if I just wait till after we're done. Joe, I gotta tell you, we have our 4 pillars, you know?
They're bad. They suck.
One of them, the third one, posting.
Posting is the forever pillar because you can always do it. It's like always sitting in your pocket. Like gaming, you can't do at work. Posting, there's that sort of temptation always, and that's why I think it's so dangerous. Also, it fucking ruins your brain.
It ruins your brain. It's such a rabbit hole. Like, as you say, like even if your work blocks the big posting hubs, you can always take your phone out. There's always that temptation. You can always go to the bathroom and shut yourself up in a stall for 30 minutes and post, baby. But here's the thing, Joe, that I want to talk about today, is that I've heard talk that some people out there don't understand the arcane sigils that lead to a post with a lowercase p becoming a post with an uppercase P. Can you believe this?
Yeah, so when does a post become a post? When does a poster become a poster?
Because you might be thinking, like, I guess, like, I'm on fucking Twitter and Facebook. I post shit from time to time, but I wouldn't put it on the same level as Anime Gamer or Jobs. This is silly. That's because you don't fucking understand what we're talking about when we say posting. So we are going to basically just give you posting 101. This is just a primer for you, and you can send this to anyone who you think needs to be educated. That's going to tell you about what is so important about posting, what's powerful about it, and what makes something a post. And once we're done with this, I think you're really gonna have a good handle on it.
Yeah, one of the key takeaways here that we hope you'll understand is that posting is a type of energy, and it absolutely influences our life. It can, like, the moon can control the tide, so can posts.
Like, it's one of those things where, like, I want to say it's impossible not to notice, but, like, that's the thing. Even if people have fucking the blinders on, if they haven't seen the truth, they may not even see the truth that's directly in front of them. Like, Donald Trump, our wet president, is one of the greatest posting wizards of all time. He is in a level that was previously unconceived of, and literally all of his power is derived solely from posting. And as a result, he has become the most powerful entity on the planet.
In many ways, he posted himself into the White House.
It's like, there's really no other explanation for it. Like, it's because of his posting brain, which is powerful and throbbing, that he was able to just change the world completely and become its king.
Yeah, what really sucks too is as he continues to have, like, mental decline, that's actually a huge power boost.
Yeah, it makes his post so much better.
Yeah, it fucking sucks.
Like, I want to make it clear, like, just before we get into what makes a post, the rule of thumb, if you want to be a good poster, is that the worse your brain is, the better you are at posting. And Donald Trump has the brokenest brain ever.
Yeah, and that's why he's like a Jedi.
Yeah, if you have a bad brain, what are some things you're never going to do? Well, first of all, you're never going to doubt yourself, because why would I reflect ever? You're never going to shut up. And you're definitely never going to log off.
No, you'll never have that little voice that was like, I don't know, maybe look out a window. You're just got more posts you got to do. So, what are the elements of posting? I know. So, the pillar of posting, the third pillar, it's kind of like it's made out of the house from House of Leaves because it changes shape and it contains multitudes. So within this pillar, there's what, Tom?
There's 7 smaller pillars. I've broken this down into 7 elements of posting, and these are 7 arcane sigils. You have to draw all 7 of them in a septagram, and then once that's complete, the post overflows with power, and it transforms from a lowercase p post to a capital P post, and then you become a poster for real. And so I've done a fucking lot of research, and a lot of it was involved, like, I would send the list to you and be like, is there any more? And I'm pretty sure we have gotten it down to like, these are the essential bits.
Yeah, this is the hardest I've ever worked, for sure.
So yeah, there are 7 elements of posting. Let's go through them for our nice listeners. Element 1 that a post must have in order to be a post is a post must elicit reaction.
So what do we mean by elicit a reaction? We don't mean just hitting like or replying. We mean a post that makes people lose their fucking mind. We were recording this on January 24th. What feels like 3 years ago, which was in fact 2 days ago, some asshole did a post about how he cuts books in half so he can read them on the train. This was done not because he cuts books in half. I mean, he might. But the real reason he did this is because he wanted a bunch of people to just fucking lose their mind and yell at him because he can't get hard unless everyone's yelling at him. And it exists to elicit a reaction and do clickbait and do engagement, and it sucks, but that's how it works.
You have to get a reaction. If you have someone just go like, huh, that's not a post. It has to be, you have to either lose your mind at how funny it is or how stupid it is. Like, again, 1,000 years ago on January 16th, 2020, Donald Trump, apropos of nothing, tweeted in all caps, "I just got impeached for making a perfect phone call."
Dude, perfect phone call is in my brain forever.
He got an Ed's rank phone call. He got platinum multipliers on all his phone combos. That correctly was the top of trending all day. Perfect phone call. Because, like, you cannot look at that and not have your day be different afterwards.
Right. It's somehow the same energy as, like, the only thing I'm guilty of is being a great dad, but, like, even better.
It's just, and, like, one thing that we're going to really have to make clear as you go through this is that when we say something is a good post, we're not saying that what it's advocating is good. And that's kind of why having a bad brain makes you it gives you such a fucking head start on being a good poster. Because if you have a bad brain, you're going to say something insanely evil that makes everyone flip their shit. And as such, you're going to automatically elicit a reaction with every post.
Correct.
All right, so element number 2 of a post. And Joe, it's funny that you mentioned that guy cutting books in half, because I would argue that that wasn't actually a capital P post for this very reason. A post serves no master. A post does not exist to serve an external purpose. A post exists for its own sake.
Right. Posters post for the love of the game.
Yeah, Donald Trump saying that I just got impeached for making a perfect phone call. He's not convincing anybody.
No, and he would do that if he wasn't president. Like, there's no political aim there. Like, there's political motives happening elsewhere, but it's not with the tweets, man.
Yeah, and like that book cutting in half guy, he like sort of made like a artificial simulacrum of the juice of that posting juice, but I think the momentum was very short-lived because people realized pretty quickly that this post did serve a master. It was designed, as you say, as clickbait. He wanted people to freak out and retweet it and say, look at this. But then when people realize that like he's doing it on purpose, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, the truest posters on the planet are like when you're looking at a bigger tweet and you see a funny reply and then you click on it and you go to their profile and they have just like tons and tons of posts with like no interaction. Those people are fucking monks that are practicing. Those people are so powerful and they are true posters.
I have fucking found that to be so goddamn true. It's like when you see someone like, oh, I got followed by someone. He's got like 30 followers. This is probably a person who doesn't post much. They just follow other people. I'll click on their profile and it's like, oh, this person's funnier than George Carlin by 100 times.
Yes, and no one has ever looked at them. And They just do it for the love of it, man.
They serve no master. And this is also why, this element specifically, this is why no brand can ever truly post.
Correct. Little Debbie's can just be like, I love to get raw dogged or whatever weird shit they tweet, but it's all serving the purpose of engaging and having like a hip brand. This is the same logic about how blue check marks cannot be true posters, because if you have a blue check mark, you're in it for the status. Like everything you're doing is, because you can lose your blue check mark. That is, you can become de-knighted.
Little Debbie oatmeal cream pie, talking about mood.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. Yeah, with the blue check mark, you become a product. You are a brand. Like Conan O'Brien, blue check mark account. As funny as he might be as a person, the fucking account is an ad for his show.
Yes, it is just a different venue for marketing.
Mm-hmm. And this is like why every time, whenever they try to like fucking sucker you in with like, oh my God, Mr. Peanut died. It's like, no, he didn't. It's an ad. This post serves a master and thus is not a post. A real post stands on its own two legs.
And if you're a real head like me, you're a truther and you know that Mr. Peanut died 10 years ago.
Trying to suck his own dick.
Yeah, that's why he died. Yeah. He tried to do the surgery where he broke his ribs so he could bend down more, and he fucked it up and he died.
Yes, it's true. We've all known this. Anyway, element number 3. And Joe, it's funny you mentioned those posting ascetics who live in the posting mountains in the Shaolin Temple of Posting, making their posts to no one. Because I'm looking at element 3, and I don't think those are true posters either.
Because you got to do numbies, right? You got to do numbies?
Element 3, posts do numbies.
Yes. So I would like to sort of reconceptualize our Shaolin isolated posters. It's like what they're doing is they're practicing kung fu for years and years, but they've never been in a fight. It's still like important, and it's what they're doing is technically impressive. However, you got to have the numbies.
Yeah, those people are in the hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z, and they are fighting and fighting and fighting, but no one sees it, and it's to no end. They have to leave the chamber and fight Majin Buu, and that's when it becomes posting.
Right.
And this is also why you might be thinking, like, Tom, I've seen your posts. What authority have you to speak on what makes a post? And it's like, no, I'll admit it. I've never done numbies. I've never posted. Like, I've never actually done it right.
The only time I've broken into the thousands on a post have been basically making fun of blue checkmark journalists, which is stealing posting valor. It's not really a true win.
Because you are, in fact, serving a master, and the master is, look at this asshole. You want to dunk on someone else. And it's funny, and it might get you numbies, but it's not a post. But you do need to do numbies in order for it to be a post.
Right. My intention was selfish and sinful.
It's like, there's a book by Bill Bryson called A Short History of Nearly Everything. And it basically is just like a primer on the history of science. And one thing that it does really well, and this is something that Bill Bryson is really adept at as a writer, is that he will talk about like the personal lives and histories of these scientists who made all these great discoveries that like we rely on every day. And one trend that you'll see over and over and over is that someone will discover a thing that is completely right, that we now know as like, who could fucking even ever argue this? They would find it out, they would write a big paper that explained all of it and had all of the evidence and was literally irrefutable in every way. And they would come up to the big society of scientists at the time and be like, hello, I discovered a thing. And they would throw it in the trash and murder him. And then like 200 years later, they'd be like, what's in the trash? And they're like, oh, it's this fucking thing that has all the truth on it. That's
got all this blood on it.
Yeah. Motherfucker didn't do numbies. Sorry, you didn't actually invent that. It didn't happen. You had to get the numbies.
Yep.
Element number 4. Let's say that you are someone who has made a post. The post elicits reaction. The post serves no master, and to your delight, the post is doing numbies. If this is just something you tried today, that's not actually a post. Because element 4 is posting is not an activity. It is a lifestyle.
Absolutely. So the example I'm about to use is clearly someone who is following a purpose, a master. That said, the people who are like huge Kamala Harris stans, they are some of the most lifestyle type posters I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen such dedication and just posting machine gunnery. It's really impressive. And like that's the sort of mindset that the K-Hive has, and you sort of need to really like embrace as a poster.
Yeah, if you can turn off, you're not a poster yet. And that's another, like, it's not something that you can fold into an existing strategy. You can't decide, like, what would really help me out in my, like, in promoting my thing is to post about it. Well, no, because you're trying to think of it as a separate, independent entity that you can turn on and off. No. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. The only way to be a poster is to post.
That's it. You just have to do it. You have to exist to post. And it sucks now because when we say post, we mean like exclusively Twitter. And in a better world, one where the internet wasn't just 3 websites, it's kind of fucked up to think that the internet was probably a more exciting place in 2011 than it is now.
Probably, definitely.
Yeah. I guess I was being optimistic. There were forums and stuff. You could start shit on forums. So what numbies meant on forums was different than what numbies would mean on Twitter. Like when I was 11, I was really into posting on this like car forum, even though I hated cars. And like one of the things I did, and this one guy got so mad at me, is I kept saying that a 98 Honda Civic is the fastest car. And this was a guy who had like a muscle car, and like it was in his forum profile. And he got so pissed at me, and like him getting that pissed at me was the numbies, because there wasn't like faves and retweets, obviously. But the fact that he sent me like personal messages, and he would like follow me from thread to thread to be like, this motherfucker thinks a 98 Honda Civic is the fastest car. I'll never forget, because I beat him. I made him log off forever because he said, like, my buddy has a 98 Civic and he just lost a race to another car. And I was like, wow, the other car probably had a engine of a 98 Honda Civic. And at which point he never posted again.
Oh, that's good shit. Now, Joe, here's the thing. One, you pointed out a truth that I think it's important to point out, is that doing numbies is relative. Like, if you are a fish in a little bathtub, you don't have to get that big to be a big fish. But if you're a fish that's in the ocean, you got to get whale-sized.
Yeah, and it sucks because now the internet is just the ocean that is Twitter.
Yeah, it sucks ass. But this motherfucker, this car guy, his fatal flaw was that his main lifestyle was cars, and posting was a way for him to engage with cars more. Whereas you were just posting for posting, and that's why you were so fucking strong.
I was pure. My mana was completely colorless. And I don't even like cars. I don't give a shit about cars. I don't know why I did this. That's what happens when you have a lot of time and internet and you're dumb.
Joe, here's my example for posting being a lifestyle, and this is actually from a blue check mark. But when I tell you who, you'll see that there's an exception to be made here, because this is from John McAfee, a notable insane person.
Yeah.
This post is pretty old. It's from November of 2018, but it's like one of those ones that when I saw it, I'm like, well, this is getting saved forever. Quote, "Some call me whale fucker." All right. There's a private club of a few dozen Maori men and 1 butch woman that meet in Molokai each year to fuck a whale. True. Men on paddleboards herd the whale while one tries to fuck it. They wouldn't let me in the club. I tried it alone. Epic fail.
Wait, so not for fuck. Okay. First of all, he starts with a lie. Some call me whale fucker. He didn't do it. They didn't let him in the club.
Who calls him? Like, I like to believe that he's been called whale fucker like as a generic insult before, and he's like, let me set the record straight. I wish I was a whale fucker.
Yeah. He starts with a lie, and he just put that out there. And you can't really make the argument that served ego or a larger rhetorical or political purpose, because there's nothing to be gained from just being like, I wish I could have fucked a whale, but the 12 guys that rounded up and hold it down didn't help me out. Like, there's nothing to be gained personally from that.
And this is clearly not something this is not a post you do by accident. There are people who are just sort of like low-key people, and then they just have like a bad day and they post something crazy and it ruins their life. This is obviously like the only thing he does.
Yeah.
Anyway, element number 5 of what makes a post is a post reveals the poster's true face.
This one is really important. Blue check marks do this a lot. They obviously don't do all of the elements, which is what is key here, but this one is really good because you get to see little insights into people. You're like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's fucking incredible. Like, because like you can try to do a post that sort of hides who you really are, but if there is to be any power in your spell, the mask has to fall off as you're casting it.
Yeah.
And this is what, like, a really good poster, like Donald Trump, just accepts this. They say the poster's mantra, which is a poster must not fear. Fear is the post killer that brings total roasting. You have to own it.
A really telling example of this, and this is a low-stakes thing that happened what feels like 300 years ago, so the fact that we have documentation of this shows that our brains are fucked. Like, it's bad. But was it even the most recent World Cup? Whenever, the last World Cup, Clara Jeffrey, who is the editor-in-chief of Mother Jones, was just like, wow, a lot of people are talking about the World Cup. And then she put on like a boss attitude and was like, how are people managing to watch all this soccer while at work?
Oh, yeah, I have it in front of me, Joe. It is super curious how so many people, especially journalists, can openly flaunt their workday World Cup watching. Not opposed, but question mark? She's opposed.
Yeah, she can't help but show that she's a boss. Like, that is just her in her purest form.
Another fucking incredible example of a poster showing their true face is just one of our favorite brainworm sufferers, Virginia Heffernan, saying, in response to a CNN poll, so she's quote tweeting a CNN poll about the Democratic primary where Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden are in first and second, and then Elizabeth Warren is in third. She says, quick flashback to college when they told us we could be almost 4/5 of a person if we worked harder. Millions of JDs and PhDs and MDs and raised children and 780 trillion working hours later, the patriarchs say, keep it to 3/5, lady, and you're on watch.
What? So, to my understanding is that her true self believes that professional degree holders are as oppressed as slaves. Is that what I'm getting there? The 3/5 there? Is that it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thing about Virginia Heffernan is that her dad is professor emeritus of English at Dartmouth University. And if you look her up, her sort of press photo is her sitting in a chair that costs $5,000.
You said 5,000? According to this, looks like we're looking at 6,500.
Jesus, what is this fucking chair called?
Eames.
An Eames share.
EAMES.
Okay.
It's an expensive boy. So I thought it was not this expensive. I was wrong.
Yeah, no, this is a share only slaves could have. Yeah,
for sure. And in that picture, she has a really crappy throw pillow on it, which I love the combo of $7,000 piece of furniture with a throw pillow from Target. I love it.
Joe, I think you have another example of a poster showing their true face and generating incredible power. Can you tell me about that?
So I think about this one a lot. So Josh Marshall, who is a bigwig at Talking Points Memo.
Yes.
So I don't know. This was like 3 years ago. Basically, he tweeted a link to porn that he was clearly looking at.
Yeah, it was no like clarifying caption. It was just a link to a video of naked women fucking each other.
Yeah, he clearly had it like copied, and he just put it in the wrong box. And then he didn't take it down because what happened, clearly, if you just think for a second, is he was clearly about to jerk off. He then jerked off, and then he went to sleep. And I'll never forget like the sort of tone of it online, which is like, can you believe he's doing this? And then like 4 hours and it was still up. Everyone was like, what a king. What an absolute king. And he's a blue check mark, but like that is a serious power move to just be like, yep, I did it. That happened.
Yeah, that's what I like to jack off to. Like it's like when Dean Norris, the guy from Breaking Bad, who was the cop,
sex gifts,
just all lowercase sex gifts.
Yep, he was just and that broke a lot of people's brains.
And it's like a lot of people they build up these elaborate personas to hide behind these online masks they wear. They curate this personality to try to show off the way that they like to be. And they think that that's going to make them good at posting. No. They have to see the goblin you are. They have to see the goblin.
Yep.
All right. Joe, element 6. Are we ready? Are we ready for element 6?
Yes. The devil's number.
A post cannot be a second draft. You cannot means test a post. You cannot focus group a post. You cannot edit a post. If you were to do so, you would be violating element 2 of a post serves no master and render it inert.
Yeah, it has to just come straight from your spinal column and into your computer or phone. Like there can't be a lot of editing.
It has to actually bypass your brain.
Yeah. It has to completely skip any gray matter because the gray matter slows it down.
And this is why people laugh at Trump when he has obvious and dumbass typos in his posts, as though the fact that he has a dumbass typo in his post makes him look worse. No, it makes him much stronger.
I actually think he's getting weaker sometimes because he has deleted typo tweets a few times when they were especially embarrassing. As a poster, that just means he's losing his edge, which sucks.
Even the most powerful wizard isn't omnipotent, Joe.
Yeah. Sometimes you fuck up the reagents and the spell misfires.
Yeah, like that. We briefly mentioned this impulse that a lot of you, and definitely me, and probably you too, Joe, that we all have, which is we would write out a tweet in the little tweety box, and then we'll just sort of like hover over the button and be like,
You've already lost.
Yes, exactly.
You've already lost.
Yeah. You're the fight. You can't come back. The fight isn't continuing. You lost the second you hesitated.
Right. Your head got cut off. You're not a samurai anymore.
Yes. It's spinning in midair, and you're just like, is there something I could do that would make the world stop spinning? And it's like, no, your head's already cut off. It's happened.
Yep. Anytime you hesitate on a tweet is how in a samurai anime, after the big sword slice, the guy's like, ha, I win. And he's like, oh no. And then his face splits in half.
Yeah.
That's what happens if you hover over the tweet button for just a second.
This is also why all Democratic politicians can't post. And it's they see Donald Trump posting and it's so powerful and they want a piece of it. But they fucking can't do it. Like, they just can't do it because they have to. They're so sure that, like, well, what I need to do is I need to be smart and measured and accurate and respectful. And it's like, no. Oh, no. The more filters that you're going to pass that post through of, like, I have to make sure everything's correct. I have to make sure I'm on brand. I have to make sure I'm on message. It's like, but what's going to come out is going to be like, excuse me, sir, but I have dignity, and the Constitution of the United States will not stand for. And it's just like, I don't care.
Boo, nerd, boo. Should tweeted suck a fuck a ding dong.
Yes. They'll tweet that. They'll use a full 280 characters to discuss how the Constitution is their wife, and they love it so. And then Donald Trump will just be like, shat in my pants. And now we all have to do it by law. It's the only way to shit now.
Everyone's like, oh, he has really dumb and funny nicknames, which is like kind of true. I gotta tell you, when he called, the leaking monster of no control.
He called Adam Schiff the leaking monster of no control, which is 1,000 times better than Shifty Schiff, which is what he says now. Because the funny thing about the leaking monster of no control is definitely what he calls his dick.
And also, there was no self-edit for that. He did not hesitate. If you were in a samurai duel with him on that tweet, your head would be cut off.
It's you can see his thought process as he goes through this. He's like, Adam Schiff, he leaked something. No, it doesn't matter what, because he fucking probably didn't even leak it. And then he's like, that's not strong enough. I really hate this guy. Oh, I know, a monster. And then he's like, awesome, I called him a monster. Oh shit, but I forgot to mention that he leaked something. I should say that he has no control.
Yeah, and but like that process you just walked us through, like that was just a series of neurons exploding.
Yeah, no. I translated it into English. It's like how at the fucking end of Second Foundation by Isaac Asimov, or maybe it's Foundation and Earth. I think it's Second Foundation. There's like a big psychic duel between the leader of the Second Foundation and this sort of alien tyrant who has massive psychic powers, and they have this like epic tens of pages long duel between their minds, or they're using their psychic powers against each other, and eventually the leader of the Second Foundation reduces the other combatant to just a brain dead, foaming at the mouth, gibbering broken man for the rest of his life because he's psychically won the duel. And then the narrator is like, just so you know, all of that occurred in like a nanosecond.
Yep.
Anyway, Joe, I think it's time for the final element of what makes a post a post. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And I think it's apropos that we've been talking a lot about posts that are bad, posts that are stupid, posts that have misspellings, posts from idiots, posts that say stupid and wrong things. Because, like, naturally, the sort of logic of the universe would indicate that, like, why are those good? Like, why are those powerful? Those are actually bad. If you look at them and objectively, they're bad. So what is causing them to be powerful? Like, why are you saying that these are good posts? And that is what element 7 is all about. This element automatically unlocks if all 6 are present. This is not one of those elements that you can like hit but then miss the others. Like, you can expose your true face but not do a post. You can do numbies and not do a post. This one requires all 6, and once all 6 are there, this is the key that turns the ignition. Element 7. Posts grant access to the posting dimension, a demi-plane of incredible power. Notably and crucially, the posting dimension does not follow the laws of reality.
Yes. The posting dimension is a big make-up world that's scary. There's a bunch of screaming tornadoes in it. There's like tomatoes with faces that like just say Latin. It's an awful place, but it's also a source of power.
Did you play the 2016 Doom reboot?
Oh, I loved it. I love it because Doom Guy doesn't say a word, and yet he has a lot of characterization, just in the way he
doesn't give a shit about the
and
plot.
breaks stuff. Yeah, like the way he like breaks computer parts despite the nerd scientists is just very tasty.
It is. But the reason I bring it up is because like the whole point of that game is that some evil corporation was like, oh, we discovered that hell was real and it is full of infinite perpetual energy. And so we decided to harness that energy, and then we had infinite clean energy. But then, oopsie, we did it wrong, and a bunch of demons came out and murdered every human being in the universe. That's the posting dimension. Like, we hate the posting dimension, and it's scary, and it can cause a lot of bad things to happen, like Donald Trump becoming president. But it's so beguiling because it carries power that we could never have otherwise.
Yeah, and just like in Doom, it can power an entire planet if harnessed correctly.
Yes,
it's never been done because the demons always come out.
Of course. And like you can make a post that harnesses the posting dimension energy, and that doesn't mean that it's going to work the way you wanted. Like famously, Elon Musk made a weed joke post that caused him to lose a lawsuit where he was accused of securities fraud, and he had to pay like $50 million in fines, which is not a lot for him, but like that, like a post can make you lose $50 million. That's how strong they are.
Yeah, that was a case of like a wizard casting a spell and there was just like sudden mana feedback and it just like blew up in his face.
What happened is he cosplayed as a goth to impress Grimes, but then he forgot he was wearing it and he saw a mirror and he thought it was an enemy wizard.
Yes. So they can definitely blow up in a big way. And like $50 million to him is not a lot of money, but just like think about this in absolute terms. There was a thing he could tweet that made $50 million go away.
Yes. And like think about also like people still now are freaking out about Russian interference in the election of 2016. And like I'm not here to say how valid that is, but one thing that you do have to know is that like the only actual evidence of like meddling that has been found to be like irrefutable is that they did a lot of posts,
which is actually the most powerful thing they could have done.
Yeah, like a post can make you lose your job. A post can make you get a job. A post can literally change the fabric of reality in a way nothing else could.
Yes, and this is not to say that like, oh, that's just the power of writing. No. Because there's shit written on tablets, and it didn't make any of this shit happen.
Yeah. No. It's like electricity has always existed, but it was irrelevant until someone figured out how to harness it. That's the same thing as the posting dimension. The posting dimension is older than time. It's older than the prime reality where we live. It's actually the first thing that ever was created. It's where God came from. He left it because it was too scary. But we have never been able to access it until computers.
Can I just read this Cormac McCarthy quote from Blood Meridian and just change posting to one of the words?
Yes.
Posting indoors. As well ask men who think of stone. Posting was always here. Before man, posting waited for him. The ultimate trade awaiting its ultimate practitioner. That is the way it is and will be. That way and not some other way.
We're the anime sickles and we're here to say anime is bad in a war crime way.
Joe, as we record this, we are in the middle of the January Basho for professional Japanese sumo wrestling. Basho means tournament. There's 6 of them a year. And Joe, this is something that we both weren't aware of a few years ago, but we have both come to learn, which is that sumo is the best and only good sport.
Sumo whips. I've never gone from not knowing about a sport. Like I knew about sumo, but like the actual specifics about how it works and everything, I went from no knowledge to like, oh, this is all I care about in probably about 3 days.
It's So the reason we got into this is because of Damoon Rules. He is an excellent person who we owe a lot of thanks to. He whips ass and is a friend. But he was like, hey, you guys want to watch sumo? And I was like, I guess. I don't really give a shit, but I'll watch it. And as I was watching it, like, again, as you say, like 5 minutes in, I'm like, oh, so this is the only good sport.
Yes. It is the strangling sport. A lot of people don't know this. It's the strangling sport.
So the rules of sumo for you to hear, listener, there are 6 tournaments a year, every 2 months, and a tournament is 15 bouts, and each wrestler does 1 bout a day. And a bout is they get into the ring, yeah, and they begin their little match, and the rules are you lose if you leave the ring, or if any part of your body touches the ground other than your feet. You also lose if you, like, pull your opponent's hair, so don't do that. You also can't punch someone with a fist. You can slap them very hard with an open hand, but a fist is not allowed. Literally all other shit is good to go. You can strangle a guy.
And not being able to close your fist and not punch might seem like there's less impact, but the sound that rings out when these guys slap is chilling.
So when they start the bout, they're sort of standing right across from each other and they're crouching. And the initial charge is called the tachiai in Japanese. But one of the things they really train on is getting their tachiai fucking explosive. They shoot out like a sprinter from the fucking blocks, going as fast as they can in this like 45-degree angle up and out. And you know, some guys are specialized in hard tachiais. Some of them aren't so much. Some of them do like special tricks. But when you have 2 fucking hard charging dudes, both going their hardest, when they collide, there is an audible gasp throughout the arena.
These guys, and this is a common misconception I had about sumo, and I think a lot of people do, where you're like, oh, these guys, you look at a sumo wrestler and you're like, oh, these guys are just fat. The truth is what they are is incredibly muscular, and then they just put on layers of fat on top of incredibly dense muscles because you want as much mass so you can just push better.
Yeah. Like if you're a little guy, and there are some little guys, if you're a little guy and you get like caught with a push, you're basically getting shot out of a cannon, and there's no hope for you. You gotta get big. And like the way they get big is they make a big veggie soup and eat like a obscene amount of it. Like they don't eat junk food. I don't know why people think they do. It's because of fat phobia. It's because people see a fat person and they're like, oh, they're that way because they sinned.
I think that's a huge part of it. And the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is how flexible these guys are. It's especially interesting to see like a guy who weighs 400 pounds and then his ability to contort his legs and like balance his entire mass on one leg at a weird angle is just crazy.
Yeah. And like, especially there's a lot of times where these guys will end up doing the splits. Like they're leaning up really hard against their opponent, pushing on them, and their opponent like does a slick move and like jukes backwards, and the guy loses their grip. And so they sort of slide forward and they end up doing the splits. And you see that and instinctively you're like, ooh, ouch. But like, you look at their faces and like, they don't give a shit. They just get up and they're like, yeah, I did splits. I do it every day. I do it every day of my life.
It's very normal to do that.
And here's the fucking real reason that sumo is the greatest sport. Like, it's very exciting to see the huge boys slap against each other and push and try very hard to move each other. And occasionally someone does like a really fucking dramatic throw where they'll get like an arm bar and just like fucking turn this guy like a water wheel and lay him on his back like nothing. It's incredible. But the reason it's so fucking good is that you don't really have to pay attention for hardly any time at all, because as I say, there's only 6 tournaments a year. A tournament is only 15 days, and a full day's worth of sumo is like 20 minutes.
Yes. So one of, I think, the most appealing aspects of football as sort of just like a sport you watch is that there's only 16 games, right? So unlike baseball, which has 400 games, 200 of which are like 6 blocks from me, and I hate the Cubs. In football, every game has a ton of weight, right? Because there's only 16 of them.
Yeah. But
so imagine you take that and then you boiled that down even further, where each guy only does one bout a day, and every bout honestly lasts about a minute, if not less.
A minute is like the high end. That's like a really big dramatic clash. I'd say the average is about 10 seconds per bout.
Yes. Yeah, and these guys are like built and trained for explosive strength. So when stuff goes on long, and by long I mean anything longer than 30 seconds, you can visibly see that these guys are maxed out very quickly because they're not built for stamina. They're built to just very quickly and explosively shove a guy away.
And like, even if you were built for stamina, if like a 400-pound guy who is also a fucking jacked is pushing against you as hard as he can for a full minute, and you're pushing back hard enough that you don't move, you're gonna get real tired.
Yeah, you're gonna get maxed out. That is absolutely gonna drain you completely.
Yeah, so when that happens, what'll happen is they sort of just like lock up, and the crowd like gets electrified waiting for something to happen, because whatever does happen is going to be explosive and end it. And it does, and it rules.
Yeah, you know how in boxing, in later bouts, both fighters are just fucking depleted and they end up like hugging to like get stamina back?
Mm-hmm. I think that's cute.
Yeah, it's very wholesome. But imagine like that level of depleted, and it happens after 15 seconds.
Yes, it's fucking amazing. And like, one of the things that I love a lot about sumo, and this is sort of part and parcel of anime and having rankings, like how in anime you have to have rankings and power levels, is that everyone has a fucking rank in sumo. And that rank determines how much your salary is. So like, it's not like baseball or football where some celebrity athlete can get a big salary and then suck ass but still make more than anyone else. If you lose, you're getting bumped down in rank and you're making less money. So you are incentivized to always be trying your best. So like, you never see these guys phoning it in because their paycheck is on the line. And in addition to that, if you win like an individual bout, you get a bunch of fucking money just like right then. And like, sponsors can sponsor specific bouts that they think are going to be popular, and they'll just basically show ads before the fucking bout happens. And the sponsorship money is what makes up the fucking prize for winning that bout. So even if you're like a low-ranking wrestler, if you're wrestling against like a high-ranking famous guy and you win, you're going to make fucking $8,000.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you were a low-rank wrestler, and by low I mean anything lower than the top rank, Ozeki, if you take down an Ozeki as a non-Ozeki, that's like Krillin almost killing Vegeta at the end of the Saiyan saga. Like, it's like a big deal.
Well, you say Ozeki is the top rank, but the actual top rank show is Yokozuna, which
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah, it's all good. Yokozuna is the only rank that you cannot be demoted from. It is basically you are a god man of sumo and you kick Mondo ass. And another reason that sumo is so fun is that one of the greatest athletes of all time is currently active and wrestling now. Fucking Hakuho, the Yokozuna, who basically like, the only reason he hasn't retired is that he's like achievement hunting. Like, he has every fucking record that you could possibly have.
He's prestiging at this point. He's going around and starting from level 1 and getting cool decorative things.
Yeah, like, so he's like 35 and has been wrestling for like 20 years. No, probably even more than that. So like, his body is like just a bunch of fucking injuries taped together and glued together with tacky. But even so, when he's healthy enough to go an entire tournament, he will win it. And it's like not even a question. It's Hakuho wins, or Hakuho is like, I'm too injured, you guys, I'll sit out, you guys fucking fight over to scraps. And then it gets interesting, and which is the scenario right now in the tournament we are currently in.
It's not even that guy versus other people. It's that guy versus his own body.
Yeah, versus fucking Father Time.
Yeah.
It's fucking incredible. Sumo whips so much ass. It is the best sport. So it's now the time for our dramatic turn and shift in tone.
Yes. Hopefully you guys got excited about sumo, because we have to lay a horrible truth, is that sumo wrestlers are actually just cogs.
Yup. So here's the thing about sumo, is that when you become a professional sumo wrestler, you have to live in a sumo stable, which is where you live and train and eat your special sumo soup that makes you big and strong. Now, you might think that this is some sort of like state-of-the-art athletes facility like professional sports teams have in...
No, it's just like a floor.
Yeah, it's a guy's house, but one of the rooms is a sumo ring. And you live there with 20 other huge guys.
Yep. There's no furniture. There's just a big tire they push around to get strong.
And the fucking sumo association that is sort of in charge of the professional sumo and all the decisions about it, that is run by a bunch of old guys who have already died and their brains have turned to glass. And they basically exist only to vex and bedevil the wrestlers as much as possible.
Yes, there's many choices about the sport that seem like they're just done to make it as unsafe as possible for the wrestlers, even though the sport is in fact a full contact sport. The eye-opening thing to me is the sumo ring, right? You have this platform with the circular ring where they push each other out. It is elevated. Which means when these guys who weigh 400 pounds slam into each other and they get knocked out of the ring, they also fall 3 feet for no fucking reason and blow up their knees.
And I think you asked Damoon Rules, what was the purpose of this? Was because
like why is it elevated? I was like, is there some sort of purpose or significance? Because sumo has a lot of like tradition and ceremony built in, which is also kind of interesting. So I was like, well, this is obviously cruel and insane. Maybe there's a reason it's like this. And the answer was like, because the old guys love it.
Oh, God. The fucking injuries they suffer are absolutely gruesome when they fall from this fucking raised platform. And every time they do, you have to hold your breath that they stand up again. But you're probably thinking like, well, so they have this raised platform, but there's definitely some protective padding, right? On the bottom. And they're not that cruel. There is a layer of cushion, and specifically it is a bunch of ancient men who have bought front row tickets.
Yep. The audience is just like right there. So when they get flung out of this ring, they land on people.
Have they broken people's arms? Yeah, a bunch of times.
Have cameramen gotten their $4,000 pieces of equipment destroyed by a guy's head? Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so this front row seat is like the most expensive seat for sure in the entire arena. So the only people who can afford it in Japan, a country of economic nightmare misery, is elderly people. There's never going to be a young person who could maybe take a sumo wrestler falling on them and not instantly die. It's all like actual skeletons who are like breathing their last gasps of that sweet, sweet air before they shuffle off the coil.
They have layers of just the most brittle bones in the country, just lining all around the platform. So when they land on them, it makes a sound like packing peanuts breaking.
Anyway, so these sumo wrestlers, they fucking get injured, obviously. They're ouching up their elbows, they're ouching up their knees, they're ouching up their feet. So there's obviously probably going to be some sort of system in place to take care of them and ensure that they're healthy and able to heal and be at their best, right?
Yeah, so... like, the doctor that sees them is like, if you asked me to be the doctor, like, I'd be like, I don't know, rub a plant on it. You should.
And here's the fucking thing that is the real fucking killer. I mentioned as a positive earlier that their ranking and their pay is based on how well they do. Joe, if you were in charge and someone were to say, make their knee go away and need to take a year off, would you offer them some sort of dispensation to protect their rank while they're ouchie?
I'm going to put myself in the mindset of someone who owns a sumo association. Fucking no. In fact, I would yell at them.
You would consider every match they sat out a loss, just as much of a loss as if they were in there doing badly.
Yes, I would repossess their house, but they don't have one because they live in a big stable with 12 other huge boys.
It's absolutely fucking insane how, like, getting injured not only means, like, one, I can't do my job, and two, when I can eventually do my job, they're gonna pay me way less. So what do these fucking boys do? I'll tell you what they do. They get grievously injured, and they're like, fuck. There's an 80% chance I'll lose every bout because I'm extremely injured, and a 50% chance that I'll aggravate my injury to be way worse. But there's a 20% chance I'll win and get some money. And so they do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of inherent drama just because a guy will do a bout after a nasty fall the previous day, and you're like, is this a career-ending type injury or just a bad ouch? And that's like not a humane type of conflict that should exist.
Like there's one guy who was doing really well. He was a new wrestler, sort of making a name for himself, and he was getting pretty good fucking stats. He was getting good records. And last tournament, he fell off the fucking platform and he destroyed his knee and had to be taken off in a wheelchair. And the next day, they were like, yeah, he's not going to be able to wrestle for at least a year. Here's the thing. Even if he does heal up to full in a year, we're not going to see him wrestle for like a year and a half because he's going to spend the first 6 months in the fucking minor leagues because he's lost his rank.
Yeah,
because as far as the Sumo Association is concerned, he is not an injured person who needs time to heal, so let's be humane. He is a wrestler who has gone 0-15 for 6 tournaments in a row. Obviously not good enough for the top division.
Dead weight, they think.
And it's off, like, the current, like, sort of top rank, the top 2 ranks of Ozeki and Yokozuna, aside from the fact that Hakuho is the greatest ever, like, they're both in, like, serious fucking danger because the Ozeki and Yokozuna are pretty old. And when you get old and you do sumo for your whole life, you get a lot of lingering injuries that add the fuck up, even when they have quote unquote healed. So these fucking guys are always pushing themselves too hard because they do not want to fucking lose their Ozeki status. Like, for example, there's one wrestler who was, when we first started watching, just absolutely dominating in the most spectacular way. This motherfucker named Tochi no Shin, who is from the country of Georgia and is like 6'6", and is not even fat. Like, he has the same body shape as the rest of these guys, but it's all muscle. And his sort of signature move is he will grab their other guy's sumo belt with both of his hands, and he'll pick them up
like a keg,
and he'll just carry them to the edge and put them down like a widow baby. And he was fucking just like absolutely destroying motherfuckers. He like won a fucking cup. He won the tournament one time. He was a top shit Ozeki. Everyone fucking loved him. And then he hurt his knee real bad. I would say if there was a real doctor and there was any sort of program in place to financially support injured wrestlers, it would be a career-ending injury. But instead, he's kept on going for like a year and a half, and it's very depressing. Every time he goes up to wrestle, I remember what he used to be, and he's not that now. And I can see exactly why. Anytime anyone puts pressure on that leg, he goes down. Whenever he tries to lift someone up, he can't, but he's got to keep doing it anyway.
And to reiterate, the knee injury was so bad because a bunch of old fucks demand the stage be high.
The only explanation I've heard is so that it's more like easier to film it for the cameras, which like maybe if it was like 1950 and you had like a camera made out of an old can that was 100 feet away, sure. But like now, no, not acceptable answer.
Yeah, that's a lazy. There's drones. You can use drones. Who gives a shit?
It's fucking nonsense is what it is. And it's depressing. It sucks. And like even when you see badass new wrestlers who are interesting, who have unique styles, who have showing you things that you haven't seen before, who are coming up through the ranks, you have to just keep in the back of your mind, like, no one in charge cares about this person. And if they get injured, that's just a broken tool to be thrown away.
Yeah. Japan is really, between that and the manga artist thing we've talked about, they are really taking the cog stuff to the extreme.
I mean, it's not like America's that much better, but you're fucking right, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, sumo whips ass, and you should definitely fucking pay attention to it. It's so cool. And there's a person named Nato Sumo on YouTube who, when tournaments are going on, will just upload all the bouts to YouTube every day, and you can just watch them.
Very little time commitment, again, because each day of bouts is like 20 minutes.
Like, if you were to watch it live, it would be much longer because, like, between bouts, there's, like, ring entering ceremonies and ring purification ceremonies. If you actually go, like, in real life to the arena, you're going to be there all day. But if you have a video where it's edited down to only show the fucking fights, well, then, buddy.
Just watch it on your lunch break.
You really can. You can probably watch it during work and say it's research. And if someone says for what, you just, like, yell at them and run away.
No, you just punch him in the throat. You're like, I'm doing what the guy showed me on the TV.
Yeah, I didn't use a closed fist, so it's legal.
Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode.
Newsflash, Klaxon, Sicko Addendum, breaking news, sumo is anime.
It's super anime. It's the most anime. We just experienced an anime event. This was threat level dragon anime event for sure.
This is like, honestly, like if you were writing a sumo sports manga and you had this as like the conclusion of your arc, your editor would tell you to write it more realistic.
Yes. So what happened, Tom?
So what happened is the day after we recorded, so it was Sunday, January 26th, we were watching the final day of the fucking January Basho, and there were two dudes who were in contention for victory. One of them was Shodai, who is like a middle-of-the-road wrestler. He's pretty good, but he's up and down. But he was doing really, really well. And he was in the position where he might have won the tournament. Both of the Yokozuna were out with injuries, so they weren't threatening to win. And
their knees exploded because that's how it works.
It's true. And they're the only fucking wrestlers who, when they're feeling ouchy, are allowed to sit down.
Yeah, that too.
So the other person who was in contention for victory was this guy named Tokashoryu, who had, like, no one fucking thought he was going to win for, like, really good reasons.
Yeah, it wasn't everyone being a dick. Imagine if, like, the Olympics are happening and you are, like, down a person for some reason, like a country didn't show up, and you just go outside and there's, like, an old man feeding ducks by the pond, and you're like, you're in, dude. And then that guy proceeded to fucking win.
Yeah, Joe, you're not far off. That's not a crazy sort of thing to say, because Tokashoryu, his rank for this Basho, and the ranks are updated between every tournament, his rank was Maegashira 17. Maegashira is sort of the biggest rank. It's like the bottom of the pyramid, and it's the only one that's numbered. So, like, the different numbers of Maegashira are like sort of mini rankings within the big rank. The higher you are, the better you are. Maegashira 17 is literally the lowest rank you can possibly have.
You know, like at the start of Dragon Ball Z, and the farmer has a power level of 5 before Raditz blows him away? That's kind of where he was. Of course, he powered up very quickly.
Yeah, he powered up very fucking quickly. Tokashoryu is 33 years old, which in sumo terms, especially if you've been, like, doing sumo for a long time, since you were, like, 18.
He's a mummy.
Yeah, that's, like, you can't go much longer than 33. And Tokashoryu, in his entire career, the only time he's ever gotten more than 9 wins in a top division tournament was in January 2015 when he got 11. Now, when you get 8 wins in a top division tournament, that's basically like, oh, you're doing okay, because it means you've gotten 8 out of 15, which means you have over half wins. If you have under half of your bouts wins, so if you lose more than half, then they, like, get mad at you and you lose rank. So he's constantly dropping down back to the minor leagues and popping back up and then doing bad and dropping back down. and he's never fucking done anything good
Until now.
So what happened, Joe? What happened? We had Shodai. He won his match, and the way it was is that Toga Shoryu had 1 loss, and Shodai had 2 losses going into the final day. So if Shodai won, and then Toga Shoryu lost, they would be tied, which means that they would have a playoff where they have 1 final bout, and the winner takes all. And Shodai won his bout about halfway through. And Toga Shoryu's bout was the very last of the day, and he was up against the Ozeki Takakeisho. Now, Takakeisho is the only Ozeki in the entire top division, and Ozeki is the second highest rank. He's the only Ozeki that, like, isn't, like, nearly dead. He's only 23 years old. He's, like, only gonna rise. He's, like, the hope of sumo. The fucking average age of the top division is, like, not a pleasant number. But Takakeisho, like, fucking whips, and he was doing great this tournament. I think he only had 3 losses, so, like, if not for 1 bout, he would have been in title contention. But because he's the highest-ranked wrestler who was not injured, his bouts are last, because, like, the last people who fight are the best. And he was facing Toga Shoryu, and even the announcer was like, man, I like Toga Shoryu, and I think he's been really inspiring this basho, but he just does not have what it takes to beat Takakeisho.
Eat shit, announcer. Just eat shit. The announcer failed to realize that it was anime time.
Yeah, no, he thought it was real life, but it was in fact anime. Takakeisho's big thing is pushing. He's a pusher. He just wants to hit you really hard and knock you back and hit you again before you can sort of recover. He does not want to cinch up. He does not want to grab you. He does not want to be grabbed. He wants to be away from you, hit you, get free again, then hit you again. He's really fucking good at it. Because
he's like a big cat, basically.
Yeah. The dudes we watch sumo with call it wave action sumo because the other guy looks like they're getting hit by a bunch of really strong waves in a row. They just cannot fucking keep their balance. Toga Shoryu somehow got inside and like clinched him up, and it was, you know how we said like, if a match goes like a minute, that's like a really long and exciting one. This one did.
Yes, yeah, and not only did it go for a minute, but Toga Shoryu looked like he was done. Like he looked like he was about to get thrown, and I was like, well, that's it. That's the end of this feel-good story. And then he nimbly pivoted his weight, and then it went on for what felt like another hour.
And then he finally got the fucking upper hand, and he swung Takakeisho down like a sack of fucking potatoes, and he fucking won because it's the last match of the day, and he fucking clinched it, and everyone's freaking out. And here's the thing about sumo. We mentioned about how it is very like ceremonial and symbolic, and it's like technically a religious ceremony for like Shintoism, but like no one really cares. No one really believes that, but they still have to do it all. One of the parts of the sort of ceremony is that the wrestlers are supposed to be completely stoic. If you win, you're not supposed to celebrate. If you lose, you're not supposed to look pissed. If you do betray too much emotion, the Sumo Association will like reprimand you. And this happened actually to Hakuho a lot, especially earlier in his career. He would be like really pissed if he lost, and he would like be really fucking pumped when he won. And they had to be like, this is unbecoming of a Yokozuna. You must be stoic. When Toga Shoryu won, buddy, what happened?
He just started crying. He went from like battle mode to like weeping in a nanosecond. It was incredible. And everyone also cried. Like basically everyone in the entire studio got the crying virus.
Everyone loved it. The Sumo Association probably is going to give him like a special present for crying extra good. We don't get emotional watching sumo except for like being like, oh, yay, cool, and then like something else happens. But like, were you two, like we weren't in the same room, were you two like getting misty?
Yeah, I was definitely misty. And then it didn't help because I was like, I'm not going to cry. This is fine. I'm just going to stay misty. And then it cuts to like a shot of his hometown with his dad, who is also crying. And then he, during the post about when the translator was there saying like what he was telling everyone, he was like, this one's for my buddy in heaven who just died. And it was just
his fucking sumo mentor who like helped him get good in college like just died. And you know, a lot of sumo wrestlers don't have fucking personality. It doesn't help that we get translation from translators who seem like they've never slept before. But generally, it'll just be a translation of like, what do you think about your next bout? My next bout, I will try hard and try to do my brand of sumo. My brand of sumo is the thing they say all the fucking time.
Yeah, I don't even know. I wonder if that just doesn't translate exactly correct, or maybe it's a more eloquent phrase in Japan, because when I hear it, I get sleepy.
It must be how, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, every time something bad happens to Yugi, he says, "That can't be."
Yeah.
Like, but anyway, the point I'm making is that all sumo wrestlers have no fucking charisma.
Because they're trained not to be.
Yeah, and also their brains are turned to mush, and the only thing they know is pushing. But this motherfucker, he got interviewed, and they were like, Tokushoryu, you told us earlier when we interviewed you midway through the Basho, you weren't thinking about, you weren't thinking about or considering the possibility that you were going to win. How does it feel now that you have won? And he said two things that, like, I would now die for him because of these two things. One, he's like, well, when I told you that before, I was lying. Which, like, holy shit. And then the next thing he said is that, like, honestly, like, right now, my feeling is, like, am I allowed to win? And, like, because, like, that was what everyone's feeling. Like, he's weeping, and he's this fucking nobody. Because, like, that's another thing. Like, we have our favorite wrestlers, but, like, the bottom half of Maegashira is all just, like, guys that you don't recognize because, like, the very bottom of the top division is constantly churning. Because, like, if they're the bottom, they're probably not very good, so they're not going to get half or above wins, so they're going to lose their rank and go down to the minor leagues, and the people who are good in the minor leagues are going to move up. So it's constantly churning. There's faces you don't recognize. You may have seen them, but, like, who cares? Because it wasn't an interesting match. It was, like, a guy with, like, 4 wins and 6 losses against a guy with 3 wins and 7 losses. Neither of these guys are going to be important. So, like, it really did feel like, oh, how come this fucker is allowed to win? You just did it, and he's, like, crying, and we love him?
Yeah, he was worried, and I kind of was too, that a lawyer was going to be like, actually, you can't win. We're going to give it to this golden retriever.
It's like if fucking Enemy Sickos was, like, suddenly on the top of fucking Apple Podcasts, and you're like, oh, actually, that's not allowed. It has to be a celebrity hosting this podcast.
Yeah, there's a huge error in the Matrix. It was just a very touching thing. Like, I that's why people like sports. I mean, there's many reasons. One of them is gambling. And I imagine someone taking the long odds on our boy here got a sweet payout. But, man, the narrative and the emotion and just, like, the whole atmosphere of everything that happened in that final bout was just movie-like.
And we watched the final bout. The Dumoon Rules, who sort of ringleads the whole thing, he found, like, a recording of the live English broadcast from the Japanese channel that had the match live. We usually watch just a clip show of all the bouts, so it goes directly from the end of one to the beginning of the other.
I want to interrupt. The clip shows are great because it's just usually an Irish guy watching something on the TV and talking over it.
But the live fucking broadcast has, like, all of the preparation and sort of ceremony and waiting and preparing before the bout actually starts, which took like 10 minutes, actually, which if you were watching the entire day, that would be absolutely unbearable. But it made the fucking final bout just like the hype was just building and building and building. We saw Shodai, the guy who also was in contention for the victory of the tournament. He was, like, waiting in the wings. You could see him. He knew that if Tokushoryu lost, he would have a chance to go up and compete for the cup in a final bout. And it just kept going and going and going. And the announcer, yeah, as we said, the announcer was like, I don't think he can take Takakeisho. He's just out of his league. And this is also important to mention, this fucking Cinderella story. Tokushoryu's hometown is Nara, which apparently is the birthplace of sumo. And there's not been a hometown Nara boy who has won a top division title in over 90 years. It's so dropped in status that there isn't even a sumo club for young boys.
The fact that there isn't a sumo club, to me, feels like really heavy-handed writing.
It fucking does, right?
It's like this town has never had a basketball champion, and in fact, basketball is outlawed.
Yeah, they took down the only hoop and used it to make a fucking curling rock. They like curling now.
And they shot the one ball with a big gun.
It was like it's that shit with like every high school sports anime where there's got to be like, damn, I love this weird sport, but no one else does. I have to found the club and go to the other club and poach other athletes by showing them that this is actually the coolest sport. It's like a cliche, but it fucking happened. It all happened. He wept and we wept, and it fucking ruled, and the entire crowd was just losing their fucking shit for like full 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was just nonstop emotion bombing. It was just everything at once. And I'd imagine after this that there might be a sumo club again.
There fucking better be. Otherwise, ungrateful children.
Like, to be honest, if that can't make one start up again, nothing will.
It's like, I kind of want to...
You're like, I'm going to get a bus to Nara.
Yeah,
and just start pushing people till they start a club.
Yeah, like, how do I start doing recreational sumo? I don't think you can. You also have to be strong, which, like, fuck that.
Yep.
I watched a video of this guy who's British guy who lives in Japan, who is sort of like a roving sumo reporter, who just sort of like shows up at places and talks to sumo guys and then makes videos about what happened. And he talked about like he met Tokushoryu briefly because he was like hanging out with a lower division, like a minor leagues wrestler who lives and trains at the same stable as Tokushoryu for a completely different reason. And Tokushoryu won, and he showed up, and he was just able to say like, "Oh hi," and then he had to do other stuff. But the point being, he mentioned that like one of the guys there was like, oh, his knees were hurt too much for him to do practice bouts, so he contented himself with just bench pressing 450 pounds. It's like, oh yeah, I guess that's pretty good training.
Yeah, you take an easy day. Eat this car.
Oh fuck, sumo whips. Joe, is there anything else to say?
No, it really whips. Everything we said about it, like why you should watch it. This result in this Cinderella story, this just cemented our points like 1,000-fold.
Yeah, we had to come back and fucking talk about it because it was just like we recorded a day too early.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sumo is anime.
Joe, that was a great episode. I think we really killed it.
Yep, and now that we're done, let's just redraw that sigil on the Wii U to make sure every...
hey, buddy, I'm out! Wait. What's up, guys? It's me, Brian Steven A. Stevenson, the epic gamer.
Oh, no, fuck you, Brian.
Noob. Guys, are you
damn
recording Anime Sickos? Oh, shit, I feel so bad missing all those episodes. Todd, move over.
God, what? Fuck, Brian, no, that's my microphone.
Yeah, we were just talking about how much we missed you.
Of course you did. You missed my excellent segment, the loudest farts I did this week. But enough of that. Actually, I wanted to, for my reunion with you guys, bring up something really excellent. I really worked on this segment a lot while I was in that Wii U. It's my top 10 hottest Dragon Ball babes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you should get on that. I just was wondering if you could...
Oh, God! Joe, are you stabbing me?
Joe, what are you doing? What? You fucking just you stabbed Brian Steven A. Stevenson.
I didn't stab Brian Steven A. Stevenson. I killed Brian Steven A. Stevenson.
Number 10 is lunch. Oh my God. Oh, holy shit. Fuck. Joe, he's fucking dead. He's dead right in the studio. What are we gonna fucking do? You have the knife. Your fucking prints on that thing. You weren't wearing gloves. Holy, we're gonna go to fucking jail. We killed Brian Steven A. Stevenson. I can't go to jail. I can't do that. The cops are going to be here any second. His cousin was a cop. You know that. He always bragged about it. What are we going to tell them when we get here? How are we going to... His body's right there.
Listen, chill. Shh. Relax. We'll just tell them that he was a gamer.
Oh. Whew. Okay, cool.
We're good.
Anyway. Yeah, no, I'm back in the groove now. All right. Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I'm Joe, an Anime Sicko.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.